And in the fourth quarter, 1 minute and 30 seconds left, 4th and 9, in field goal range. 3 points will tie it, but a touchdown will give us the lead. And Arthur Smith decides to throw it deep, and Desmond Ridder, while rolling to his right, throws up a pass. And somehow, I guess a former lacrosse star, the broadcasters were really excited about that element of this person's career. I need to pull up his name because it escapes me now. But he caught it in the end zone, and the Falcons win 27-23, their preseason game against the Lions. Oh, I'm so excited about this, you guys. Can't wait to talk about it. We are going to open up the show with that, sort of, but today we have some Bulldogs-themed trivia, some Falcons preseason hype and recap, some Atlanta Braves recap, some tweets. Going to have a Top 5 Friday segment again for y'all, and we're going to talk about the top 5 Atlanta suburbs. So I'm hoping to have a contentious list here. And yeah, should be fun. So usually we record this episode so that it comes out Friday morning. In this instance, it's coming out late Friday night. And I just wanted to be able to immediately recap the Falcons preseason, so I hope that's okay with y'all. But we're glad you're here. I hope you can enjoy this over the weekend. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Your trivia question is, who was the UGA football coach before Mark Richt? So we have Kirby Smart. Before Kirby Smart was Mark Richt. Before Mark Richt, who was the University of Georgia football coach? Think about that, reach back in the memory bank, see if you know it, and we are going to circle back around to that at the end of the episode, as always. So, with that being said, we have officially kicked off the show, and we have some Falcons to talk about. Now, look, I didn't really watch much of the Braves game tonight, although I do have a Braves recap for you. I caught the end of it, but I was so excited for the Falcons preseason. I know it's preseason. I know it doesn't matter. I know that a lot of the years that the Patriots won their Super Bowls, they went 0-4 in the preseason, so this doesn't mean anything, but it does. It so does. It does to me. It does to me because I'm still able to be in a place where I think the Falcons will go 10-7. That's my prediction, 10-7. Is that absurd? Maybe. Maybe it is, but who's going to be laughing when we go 10-7? Hey, maybe 11-6. I don't know, but I think this is going to be a good team because I trust this organization right now. I trust the coaches. I trust the direction we're going in. And I get to keep that enthusiasm in the preseason. Even if we lose the preseason games, I still get to see them with my own eyes with the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and possibly naive outlook on the season that I usually have this time of year every year. So the preseason rocks, and it symbolizes the start of something great. I'll say this too. I was thinking about this. There's no other sport that I know of that has this much hype for this period of the season. I don't know anybody who gets this excited for spring training in baseball. You know, people might get excited about preseason basketball. If they do, I don't know them. College football doesn't have a preseason. So it's kind of interesting as to why the NFL does, because college doesn't. They just say, yeah, we just practice. We just do this amongst ourselves, and then when the season starts, we play. So kind of interesting that the NFL even has a preseason, but it's fun nonetheless. I love it. I love the preseason so much. I even love watching the position battles that take place in the end of the game, because toward the end of the game, a lot of our starters none of them were playing. And so you got to see them as a unit, and these guys who, a lot of these guys won't have a roster spot, so they're fighting for their livelihood. And it's fun to see, and it's fun to watch. I don't know. I'm a big fan of preseason football. And, maybe it's just because of the hype, because I just get so excited. But yeah, I don't know any other preseasons that have this much excitement wrapped around them. Every single day I'm seeing countdowns until football starts. Every day. Every day, somebody on Twitter thinks of some number that's significant with how many days that are left until either college kickoff or NFL kickoff, and they post about it. They're excited. We have countdowns for it. I don't, and maybe it's because of who I follow or kind of where my interest lies. I'm a football guy first, baseball close second. and that's just how I am. So anyways, football's back. We have some preseason action to go over, and the Falcons won 27-23. And like I said in the opening, it was a really exciting game. I mean, seriously, it was back and forth throughout the entire thing, and even just, it was good football. It wasn't sloppy football, which was really cool to see. Because a lot of times in the preseason, I mean, you see penalties, you see crappy plays, you see and I know that they're using like a limited playbook in the preseason. At least they should. It's smart to do that because you don't want to give people too much film. So I know that's a real thing. But from both teams, the Lions and the Falcons, they just look good. It was clean. There weren't a whole lot of penalties. There were some, but there wasn't a whole lot of pre-snap stuff. Not a lot of a lot of times the pace of play can be kind of rough in the preseason where it's just not that exciting. It's not that interesting. But this game absolutely was, and it really did go down to the end. We won it with a minute and a half left, and the Lions they had a nice little drive at the end there too, but we had, we were playing soft and deep, you know what I mean? So we just didn't want them to get in the end zone because by the time the Lions got the ball back, they were down 4, so they had to score a touchdown. So, we gave them a lot of cushion. So they had a nice drive there, but you wonder if that's just situationally it's because we let them. But it was still a good game nonetheless. It was exciting to watch. The players played really good, I thought. And the first drive, you had Marcus Mariota in there. He is the starter, but Desmond Ridder looked good. And I've been saying it. Oh, I'm so glad that I'm right about this. At least right now I am. Today I'm right about this, which is that Desmond Ridder is going to be really good because he was good. And even his stats are a little deceiving because Desmond Ridder was great. Our receivers, not so much. We dropped a lot of balls tonight. So Desmond Ridder, his official stats were 10 for 22 with 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and he also had 59 rushing yards. And, it says 10 for 22. I swear to God, there was like 5 drop passes. I don't know if that number is exact. It's actually a hard stat to find, believe it or not. I was looking at that right before we started recording, but there was a lot of drop balls, a lot of beautifully placed passes by Desmond Ridder, like over the shoulder, kind of back shoulder fades. Felipe Franks dropped one that was just a dime, a beautiful pass. Henny, tight end that we have, Henny, he dropped one in the end zone that was a really good pass too. But then I thought it was pretty cool because right after he dropped a pass in the end zone, the next play they went right back to him and scored a touchdown. So I like when you see that because, both Desmond Ridder and Arthur Smith both were like, yeah, get in there again, buddy. And it's cool too because at the end, the way of thinking here at the end, so for anyone who didn't watch, we were down 20-23. And we were in field goal range with about, I don't know. Yeah, it was a minute and a half. It was 1 minute and 30 seconds. We were in field goal range. Could have kicked the field goal to tie it. I don't know how many guys are looking to tie up a preseason game and go into overtime. Maybe it's the unwritten rule if you go for the win on the road and you go for the tie at home because you'd rather go into overtime at home. Not sure. But it was 4th and 9. It wasn't like we were close. And in a regular season game, I'm sure they would have kicked the field goal because it would have been way too risky not to. But, in the preseason, you can let it loose a little bit. So maybe this was Arthur Smith's way to saying, okay, guys, we trust you. We're here to play. We're here to see what you're made of. It's time for you to earn your spot on this roster. We're going to go for it. Let's see what we got. Situationally, 4th and 9, what are you going to do? Calls a play, and Desmond Ridder actually had to kind of make some magic happen because he got chased out of the pocket, and it looked like he was going to go down, but he's quick, and he threw this ball rolling out to his right, and the ball was kind of it was good on him to give his guy a chance, because in those moments, usually the coverage is pretty rock solid. It's rare that you have they're passing pretty deep play where someone's wide open. It happens, but it's rare. So this guy, but he was one-on-one out to the right into the end zone, and it was Jared Bernhardt, who was a lacrosse star in college, then played quarterback in college, and now is a receiver for the Falcons. So he's just one of those guys who just does it all. Felipe Franks is a really good-looking tight end, too, speaking of people changing positions. But Jared Bernhardt caught this touchdown, and he was, the dude was like, the cornerback was hanging off him. Absolutely hanging off him. He had him all over the place. it was really tightly contested, and he kind of just made a couple moves and made it happen. And good on Desmond Ridder for just putting it up there and giving his guy a shot to make a play, because in those moments, that's really all you can ask for. You want the most competitive throw you can get. You want a good play. I mean, obviously, if there's a good play that's called and the guy's open, great. But a lot of times when it's like going to the end zone, Aaron Rodgers on his Hail Marys that he's thrown, he's had a few. But if you think back to those really crazy Hail Marys that he's thrown, there's 3 that come to mind. One against Detroit, one against the Giants, and one against the Cardinals in the playoffs. That one was insane. But all of those, he just put it in a place that he thought gave his guys the best chance to make a play. So it's that's just what you do. And Desmond Ridder did a great job at that. And throughout the entire game, Ridder played from the second quarter on, and he looked good. He was calm in the pocket. He had accurate throws. He's fast. He seemed to go through his progressions well. He didn't seem panicked or that kind of, he didn't have the happy feet in the pocket that I know a lot of guys have. I would if I had a bunch of guys running at me that fast, but he was just calm. And it was great to see that. Marcus Mariota started the game, and you didn't really get to see much of Mariota. But Mariota just kept running the ball. I was like, why aren't you passing it? He only completed 2 passes. He went 2 for 2 on his passes, so that's good. He had a rushing touchdown, so that was cool. And Mariota's really quick, and he can make plays. But there was a lot of plays where Mariota just kind of held on to it and ran. And when they were showing the replay, there were guys that were getting open. What do I know? But it seemed like he was almost run first tonight. So it'll be interesting to see how this progresses. But Desmond Ridder was on it tonight. He was on point. Those stats do not do him justice because there was a lot of drop balls. So, yeah, fun stuff. Football's back. God, I can't wait to see what this team does. Notable moment from Friday's preseason game with the Falcons was Drake London got injured. So this sucks. But I'll go ahead and read this tweet. I'm going to jump a little bit ahead to the tweet section. Falcons, this is from Adam Schefter right after the game. Falcons head coach Arthur Smith said the team would know more Saturday about the knee injury that wide receiver Drake London suffered tonight. But one source was encouraged early on and said it's not a serious injury, still further testing ahead. So, man, Drake London just caught 1 pass for 24 yards. He's actually the receiving leader for tonight for Atlanta with that 24-yard reception. And as soon as he went down, he just came up. He was walking a little funny. He was kind of limping on that knee and sat the rest of the game. So, God, I hope that's not serious, obviously. Man, Calvin Ridley, Drake, I'm not even going to think about it. Okay, knock on wood, we're fine. He's going to be okay. All sources are saying that it's not serious. So that's what we're hoping for, and that's what it seems like at the moment. So anyways, good job, Falcons. Great to see them in action. Hope to see more. I know I'm going to be, watching a bunch of YouTube this week about practice and post-game press conferences and interviews and practice highlights. It's just what I do. So God, I don't know. I'm counting down the days. All right, moving on. The Atlanta Braves won tonight 4-3 against the Miami Marlins, and we have won 3 in a row now, and we have gained a game on the Mets. We are 6 games back because the Mets lost today against the Phillies. The Phillies are still playing really well. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Braves are 5-5 in their last 10. Come on, Braves. But the Mets lost, so we gained a game. And we are 3.5 ahead of the Phillies for the wild card. So, like I said before, didn't really see much of this game, but I saw plenty of highlights, and I got to see some exciting stuff, at least in the 8th inning, because Michael Harris hit a home run to give us the lead, a 2-run shot right after a Vaughn Grissom double. And how exciting is this, you guys? Vaughn Grissom comes in after Orlando Arcia got hurt against the Red Sox on Tuesday? Yep, it was Tuesday. And so Wednesday, this guy comes up and does the same thing that Michael Harris does. He skipped AAA, went straight from AA to the big leagues. And I love that they do this, by the way, because, who's to say, why does a guy have to just sit in the minor leagues for 2 years before he comes up? If you see something, these guys know when they see something. If you see something good, send them up. you're 2 for 2 right now. So whatever you're doing with how you're evaluating these guys, keep it up because this guy's been really fun to watch. How cool is that, though? His first ever hit as a big leaguer was in Fenway, and it was a home run over the monster. Are you kidding me? That guy's going to be able to say that for the rest of his life. For the rest of his life, he's going to go, my first ever major league hit was a home run over the green monster. And that's something that I got to think that baseball players all over the country have on their bucket list of something that they want to do, which is hit a home run over the green monster. You know, you hear players talk about it, at how they've always wanted to do that. They've always dreamed about that. It's almost hard to concentrate on hitting because you have to actively direct your thinking away from just thinking, okay, hit it over the monster, hit it over the monster. You know, baseball players talk about this. You hear it all the time. And this guy's first ever hit was it, and it was a no-doubter. I mean, he had the bat flip and everything. He just looked smooth up there. So Vaughn Grissom, way to go. But he went 2 for 4 in that game. First ever game, goes 2 for 4, scores 2 runs, and yeah, smacked. Or no, sorry, he had two RBIs and scored 2 runs. Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, that was legit. And then in the Marlins game tonight on Friday, he goes 1 for 3 with that double that I had referenced earlier. And right after that double, Michael Harris just came up and just popped him home, hit a no-doubter to right field. So these two guys, two 21-year-old guys, I think that's their age. They might even be younger than that. Not sure, but come up straight from Double-A as needed. You know what I mean? They came to respond to a need, but they have exceeded what everyone else has expected from them, I would think, and they've exceeded what their predecessor was doing. So good on them. You know, Vaughn Grissom's played 2 games, so we'll see if he keeps it up. But so far, so good, and it's just exciting to watch. And he's been crushing it in Double-A. So, you know, it's almost like when Austin Riley got called up. I can't remember what his stats were when he was in Triple-A, but they called him up. This was a few years ago now, but I don't know if you guys remember. When they called up Austin Riley, they didn't really have a position for him. They stuck him in left field. And their way of thinking was, look, he's hitting so good, we just have to use him. We can't not call him up because his batting average is insane. He was hitting an insane amount of home runs in AAA. And he came into the majors in his first month. He hit, I don't know how many home runs he hit when he first came up, but he had like a Ronald Acuna-esque entrance to the league. He just absolutely took the league by storm. And then he started getting stuck on the slider. Happens to a lot of these guys where they come out hot and then pitchers figure them out a little bit. But Austin Riley had that same sort of energy when he first came up. It was just electric. But yeah, they stuck him in left field because we had Josh Donaldson that year who was playing great. The year we had Josh Donaldson was excellent because he had a couple of off years after his MVP season with Toronto. And I think there were some injuries involved, but, you know, we got him on a 1-year deal, and what a hell of a pickup that was that year. I mean, Josh Donaldson had a great season with us that year. It was a shame that his stint with us had to end on that heartbreaking loss to St. Louis in the playoffs when they dropped 10 runs on us in the first inning. I was at that game. It sucked. But Austin Riley has been a fantastic replacement for him. But when Austin Riley first came up, they just said, play left. You know, and he wasn't that great in left, but they just needed his bat. And so, Michael Harris, Vaughn Grissom, another couple of exciting rookies. I love when this happens because you start to, you know, fall in love with this team. You have some injuries. You get kind of bummed. You go, man, do we have any new? You don't know who we have until these kind of things happen. I don't know about all of you guys, but I'm not really closely following our farm system. You hear about guys, you hear articles, you hear some buzz. You know, if you play close enough attention, you kind of hear some buzz about some people. But when you really get to see them and when they come up and they take the league by storm like this, it's just so cool. So we have such a good young core. And I know that we have lost some depth in our farm system with some trades, some acquisitions. You know, Christian Pache, he's the first name that comes to mind because he went to Oakland. But you know, I mean, they're drafting well. It's showing now. Even with Kyle Wright, you know, I was questioning that pickup until this season, and then it's like, okay, I don't question it anymore. He's great. So Braves win. We're down 6 games, and I'm just going to take a look at the upcoming games that we have, and I'm also going to take a look at the upcoming games that the Mets have, because this is important. So our next games are 3 more against the Marlins. Then we have 4 against the Mets, but it's in Atlanta. And then we have 3 against the Astros in Atlanta. That's 7 tough games right there in a row. But then we have the Pirates, then the Cardinals. That's going to be tough too. The Cardinals are a great ball team. Then we have the Rockies, and then the Marlins, and then the A's, then the Mariners, then the Giants, and then the Phillies. So, and those are all the series that we have. And so we don't play the Phillies until September 16th. So we've got a good solid month of games that I think we can really do well in. It's then after this Marlins series, Mets Astros is going to be tough. Then it's pretty relatively easy until mid-September. And who knows what the Phillies are going to do. Different points throughout this season, the Phillies have been an entirely different kind of threat. Right now, they're playing really well. Mid-season, pre-All-Star break, it was they didn't scare me. Right now, they kind of do. So, Braves have a tough stretch coming up, followed by a pretty easy stretch. The reason why I say that is because the Mets have an extremely tough schedule ahead of them. So they are right in the middle of a 4-game series against the Phillies. And they lost tonight against the Phillies. Or no, they lost. 3-game series against the Phillies. So they have 2 more games against the Phillies. And then they come to Atlanta, which is going to be tough for 4 games. Then they go to Philadelphia for 4 games. So they're playing the Phillies now in Philly. Or no, that's in that's in New York. So they're in New York right now playing the Phillies. Then they come to Atlanta. Then they go to Philadelphia. Then they go to New York to play the Yankees. Then they have 4 games against the Rockies. Then they have the Dodgers for 3 games, then the Nats and the Pirates and the Marlins. So it gets a little easier for them toward the latter half of the season. So basically the last, September looks pretty easy for the Mets. But these next 2 weeks are really difficult for them. So this next 2 weeks is a big deal because other than the Mets series that's coming up and the Astros, we basically hit the easy stretch right before the Mets do. That's my point with all this. So keep your eyes on that. Each game's getting more and more important every single day. Each game has more weight behind it every single day. So excited to see what happens. Let me see if there's any notable stats from tonight's game. Honestly, I don't really think that there was. I was taking a look at this, and nobody really, blew up the stat sheet. Eddie Rosario went 2 for 3. He's still playing really well. Michael Harris went 2 for 3 with that 2-run home run. Vaughn Grissom, 1 for 3. Other than that, Matt Olson hit a deep home run, actually. So I'll give him some credit for that. He's having a great season. Love that guy. He went 1 for 4, though. Contreras, 1 for 4. Cunha, 0 for 4. Swanson, 0 for 4. Riley, 1 for 4. So, these guys did okay. Pitching, Jake Odorizzi got taken out early, went 4 innings, giving up 8 hits and 2 earned runs. Our bullpen really carried us the rest of the way with Kenley Jansen getting the close. So, chop on, baby. Let's go. So, moving on from the Braves, and, oh, man, I just want to keep talking about the Falcons, but it's going to start to get redundant. I'll say this much, and this has been reported consistently since the start of training camp. It's been echoed by the coaches and anyone who's analyzing this team. The Falcons have a significantly larger amount of depth going into this year. We just beefed up in a lot of areas, made a lot of offseason acquisitions. I think we've drafted really well. I think we've drafted smart. Well, time will tell. But hearing them talk about it and the pickups that they got, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. At least in my head it does. But drafting well, and yeah, we've just picked up even guys like Damian Williams. What a great guy to have in our running back room, especially considering we don't have many guys at all in our running back room. I will say this, Quadri Allison looked great tonight. He looked explosive and really fast. Okay, I'm going to move on. No more Falcons. Whatever. It's a lot of depth. So, going on to some tweets before I have our Top 5 Friday, Top 5 Suburbs of Atlanta. I'm going to go through some tweets that I have saved. Always like to do this, get you some news around the league. So, this from John Tweets Sports says, Kirby gets what he wants. Well, he retweeted this from Dogs HQ. Sources tell Dogs HQ that Georgia and Florida will be able to host recruits at their annual rivalry matchup in Jacksonville starting in 2022. That's awesome. I honestly didn't know that they couldn't host recruits at that game. Why wouldn't you? I mean, what an awesome game to bring people to. Seeing it split right down the middle, red and blue on each side of the stadium, the energy there. I mean, I've never gone to one, but I mean, I know people who go every year religiously to the Georgia-Florida game. They say it's like nothing else. The world's largest outdoor cocktail. I can't talk tonight. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party. And yeah, absolutely bring recruits to that. I mean, bring recruits to anything you can, but something that electric, I mean, that's a highlight every single year for Georgia fans. I think it's our best rivalry. You know, I would make a case that Alabama, even though I don't think that people officially consider Georgia Alabama to be a rivalry, it's become one, at least in my head, that has, because look at the last decade. Some of the most exciting games played in the NCAA in the last 10 years have been Georgia Alabama games. You know, you have the national championship that we just won, obviously. And that was a great game, too. I mean, just, you know, objectively, like if you take out the fact that I'm a Georgia fan and then I'm, you know, obviously that's like the best game ever. But objectively, the game was really good. It did go down to the wire. When we made that interception at the end, it sealed it. That was late in the game. And there was still, I think everybody was starting to think like, okay, Bryce Young's legit. He's a Heisman winner. He can do this. Like they still had enough time and there was enough of a gap. It wasn't insurmountable by Alabama. So having that pick obviously sealed the deal, but that game was really good throughout. And then, you know, the two before that stick out to me, obviously, are the SEC championship when Jalen Hurts came in the second half, and the year before that was when the national championship, when they won. But those were two amazing games. And then wind the clocks back to 2012. I've already recapped this game, unfortunately, but that was the tipped pass Chris Conley catch on like the 5-yard line. But that was a freaking unbelievable game. Best game of the year by far. So I think Georgia-Alabama has become a rivalry, and as long as they keep playing each other the way that they have, it's going to keep being one. But still, a leg up on that is Georgia-Florida. It's Georgia-Florida. Georgia-Florida is our biggest rival. I get so excited every time that game happens. There's something about it. There's an energy in the air when Georgia-Florida happens. It's awesome. It's so cool. So yeah. Bring recruits. Let them see that. On August 9th, Grant McCauley tweeted, Ronald Acuna Jr. is 11 for 24 on the road trip. He scored 6 runs, including 3 Tuesday, and raised his average 17 points during his hot streak. So good for him. You know, Acuna has been honestly really cold for the last 2 months. It seems like. I don't know if 2 months is the exact number, but it's at least a month where he's been ice cold. And so, yeah, he's starting to heat up, and he's doing it at the right time. So let's go. Also from Grant McCauley, I don't know how much longer the Braves can give at-bats to Marcell Ozuna. These were all on August 9th, so they're a little bit older, but still relevant in my opinion. He's 13 for 85, a 153 average since July 9th, and 6 of those hits came in 2 games. Good God. He's driven in 10 runs in the past 32 games while batting 183 with the sub-600 OPS. Yeah, Ozuna sucks right now. There's no other way to say it. Although as soon as I was really ready to absolutely just, disown Ozuna, he hit a really awesome home run over the monster in Boston. But yeah, Ozuna. Did he even play tonight? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. They might have actually not played him tonight. See, this is what happens when you get preseason. I'm not privy to things like this. I'm going to check this for you real quick. Ozuna, he did play tonight. And guess what? He went 0 for 4. Jesus. Okay. Well, thanks. So yeah, Ozuna, they got to do something about this guy. I know though the problem is right now, I mean, who are we going to put in his place? You've got, Adrianza just, I think he just got hurt. So that sucks. Yeah, I don't know who do you make the DH right now? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who else you put in there that is that much better. But I mean, maybe there's someone else. So, anyways, moving on. SportsTalkATL.com. This was a little much. I know that this was in the moment during the game on August 10th, which was what was that on Wednesday. So this is in Boston. But I've seen a lot of people tweeting things like this. The tweet just said there better be a good explanation. Snit is a dumbass, but this big. I'm not sure. Has to be something wrong. I think there was it was a pitching move. I remember this. They brought in Dylan Lee for like, I don't know, a couple batters who didn't do that well, and he had just pitched the night before, and he took out, maybe it was Kyle Wright or someone when they were doing really well. So, but Snit's a dumbass? I mean, you guys, I've seen a lot of people talking like this too about how Snit sucks. He's stupid. He doesn't do anything. He just sits back and doesn't do, I mean, yeah, you're welcome for the World Series, you ingrates. I mean, come on. We just won the World Series. What are you talking about? Snit's a dumbass. Oh, and guess what? Before we won the World Series, I don't know, we made it to the NLCS. Before that, the NLDS. Before that, I mean, what are we doing? As soon as Snit became our coach, we have consistently done very well. And we have rebuilt the Atlanta Braves culture. We have re-inspired a generation of Braves fans. We have electrified a city. We brought 150,000 people into the Battery and shook the earth. Okay, like Snit's a dumbass. Come on, guys, that's silly. I don't understand where all this hate's coming from. People are saying this a lot. The only thing that I can say, I mean, look, Ozuna, he shouldn't be playing, but I don't know what other options we have. I don't know who else you put in there. I guess anyone other than Ozuna. So yeah, that would be your answer. I don't know, someone with a pulse. Put a fan out there. Get the bat boy up there. Maybe he can just close his eyes and swing and make better contact than Ozuna right now. So yeah, that's a bad move. But for years they've been saying that the players love him. I mean, that's something that's consistently. I mean, he's been with the organization for over 40 years. All the guys who had him in the minor leagues got so excited when he became the coach because he really does connect with these guys in a way that other coaches don't. And he's notorious for letting people play their way out of a slump. Maybe a little bit too much. Probably something that's fair. But, yes, it's not a dumbass. That's stupid. So, Jeff Passan, breaking news. I have 3 tweets saved about this. Okay. Any Fernando Tatis fans out there? Padre star Fernando Tatis violated Major League Baseball's performance-enhancing drug policy. Ooh, so a little more depth on that from Sam Dykstra. Fernando Tatis has been suspended 80 games after testing positive for clostebol, a banned performance-enhancing substance, the MLB says. Okay, don't know what that means. Here's a little more depth from Jeff Passan. Fernando Tatis Jr. will be suspended for 80 games, MLB announced. The suspension will cover the remainder of this season and will render him ineligible for the postseason. It will continue into the beginning of next year. On the verge of returning, he's done for the year. Dude, what? What? Let me look up clostebol real quick. Did I spell that right? It is a derivative of the... Oh, God, this is getting really scientific. Okay, well, it's, I guess it's clostebol and testosterone, the drugs that got D. Gordon in trouble. Okay. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you all how it, chemically breaks down in your body. You're not supposed to take it. It's banned. And he got busted. He peed hot. So, I mean, come on, dude. He's not even that big of a guy. What are you doing? Like, I don't know. I don't understand. I know there's this whole substance thing is that web's out pretty deep. There's so many out there. There's so many things that maybe used to be illegal that aren't anymore. I know a lot of guys are doing anything they can to get ahead with like recovery. A lot of guys after they retire start taking substances that are banned. You hear about that in the NFL a lot, where guys who retire get excited because they can start taking these substances that are banned by the NFL because it helps with recovery and, makes you feel good. What can I say? But yeah, Tatis busted his wrist up on a motorcycle in the offseason, then gets suspended 80 games right on the verge of returning when they're trying to make a push for the wild card spot. So you blew it, dude. Come on. That's really stupid. Okay, that's all the tweets that I have saved. The next one was the Drake London one that I'd already shared with you guys. So we're going to move on to top 5 Atlanta suburbs. So before I even start this is my list, okay? And I stand by this list. I'm happy with this list. I feel good about that. I will put this list up against anyone's list. So please send me yours. But before I do, I'm going to tell you how I'm gauging this, okay? This is my grading scale, all right? So first off, I looked at affordability Well, these aren't necessarily in order of importance to me, but this is just a list of things that I'm looking at. I'm looking at affordability, food. Food's a huge one. I mean, food, people always talk about the food in a particular city. People travel to cities for the food. When you go to a nice restaurant, you go to Atlanta for the food. And by the way, I'm looking at everything outside the perimeter here for this list. But food's huge. Brings people together. It's what you do on a Friday, Saturday night. It's your night out. You go out and you get a good bite to eat. So you got to have good food. The atmosphere of the city, I want to know kind of, like, how's it feel? Do you have some character to your town? Activities, what can you do if you live there? And then proximity. It is important to be close to stuff. Like I'm not including, spoiler alert, like Dahlonegah's not in this list because it's like, okay, yeah, you live in Dahlonegah, beautiful place, love the town, love to visit there. But if you live there, what are you gonna do? You're gonna pack a bag to go down to Atlanta? Because you have to. I mean, you can't. Like, what are you gonna do? Just go down to the city to like see a show? Like, you'd have to get a hotel. So, anyways, those are the things that I'm looking at. And we're going to start off with number 5. So I hope this is contentious. I would love for this to be. So my number 5 Atlanta suburb is Marietta. Marietta, Georgia is my number 5 on this list. I have a little pros and cons list for every single city here. Pros for Marietta: good food, old, beautiful buildings, some really good architecture there, not too far from stuff, and it's affordable. So if you live in Marietta, you really, it's not going to be that big of a drag for you to go down to Atlanta and have some fun. You're kind of close to some other surrounding places too. It's not that inconvenient. But the cons of Marietta, in my opinion, are that it's too big. There's a lot of Marietta that sucks. Okay, there's a lot of Marietta that's basically one large neighborhood, and there's a lot of chunks of Marietta that are nasty. So I'm more thinking of like the downtown part of Marietta, and then some of the surrounding bits. There's pockets of really nice stuff, but honestly, for as good as Marietta is, like the good stuff about it is really good. But I mean, I don't know. I get kind of lost in East Cobb sometimes. I know it's a good place to live. I know that the schools are great and all that's fine. But when you get swallowed by a sea of neighborhood, I don't know. It's not that it's a turnoff for me. My number 4 on this list, for number 4 for my top 5 Atlanta suburbs, is Woodstock, Georgia. This was tough for me. Woodstock's fantastic. I live in Woodstock. We're recording in Woodstock. Woodstock's amazing. I chose, of everywhere that I could go, we chose this place. It's a wonderful place to live, but I'm having to be objective here. I would put this at number 1 because I really do love this place that much. So let me start off with the pros. The pros here: great atmosphere downtown. You're close to Lake Allatoona. You're close to the North Georgia mountains. Close meaning like relative. It's not like that big of a deal to swing up to Blue Ridge. You know what I mean? It's like if you lived in Cumming, you went up to Dahlonegah. That's kind of what Blue Ridge is like for people who live in Woodstock. So it's not too far away to get to stuff like that. And it's great up there. It's affordable and it's beautiful. Woodstock's gorgeous. There's some really pretty spots in Woodstock. And, I think like for where we live, we're so close to the lake, but a lot of people are. So I actually grew up in Cumming. And Cumming did not make this list. Sorry for anyone living in Cumming. I grew up there. I do not particularly like Cumming. But, you have Lake Lanier, but a lot of chunks of Cumming are far from Lake Lanier. It's not like that's like in your backyard. There's only a few kind of neighborhood pockets on that southwestern part of the lake where Cumming kind of touches up to it. But anyways, we're not here to talk about Cumming. Woodstock, you're super close to Lake Allatoona. And yeah, it's just... the downtown, they've done some wonderful things there. I know that a lot of these places, they've kind of gentrified things. They've added a lot of cool spots. Alpharetta's done a lot of work. That's next on our list. But Woodstock's downtown's fantastic. The cons, though, and this is, like I said, I would have put this number 1. I don't have many cons, but the cons that this city has is what dropped it to number 4 for me. But it's far from the city. It is. I mean, probably takes us about 30 to 35 minutes to get to the Battery, so that's not too bad. But if we're going into Atlanta, I mean, it's about 40 minutes, so it's not close. That is not a close drive. It's kind of crazy. You live in Georgia long enough, you get used to a half hour not being a big deal. But when I was living in like Phoenix and Denver, if you drive more than 25 minutes somewhere, it's like, dude, where are you? You're out in the sticks, you're in the boonies, like everything's within a 20-minute radius. I mean, truly, like if you're in the Denver suburbs, going to Mile High Stadium is like 20 minutes, 25 maybe, depending if you're on like the outskirts, but I mean, it's really not bad. And that's just normal out there. Where here, if you're in Woodstock, I mean, going to like Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it's going to take you about 45 minutes to an hour. And so it's far from stuff, but what really bumped Woodstock down for me was the food. Food's not that great up here yet. It's getting better. People are moving out here. People have figured out the secret of Woodstock. So restaurants are investing. They're doing some expansions to the downtown area. But downtown, look, the food, it's okay. There's a couple spots that are good. Marietta has better food for sure. 100%. It has better food and more better food. But Marietta's down for me because the other cons were enough to kind of offset. You know what I mean? The good stuff about Woodstock is fantastic, but the food's got a bit better. It has to get better. I'd say of all 5 that are on here, Woodstock has the worst food on this list. Not to say there isn't some good places here, but you know what I'm trying to say. There's just not, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. 3 is Alpharetta. Number 3 on this list is Alpharetta. And, I initially had Alpharetta lower on this list, but I had to kind of like let go of my biases a little bit because, I don't know. I'm going to start with the cons. How about that? I'm going to start with the cons, and then I'll talk you through my thought process here. The cons were it's just far enough to be annoying to get to the city. So kind of like Woodstock, you're looking at an hour to get to like downtown. I mean, it's with traffic. You know what I mean? Like Alpharetta is not close to stuff. It's close to Alpharetta and it's close to Roswell. But really, if you're living in Alpharetta, you have this kind of bubble around you of like Roswell, kind of Cumming, but you don't really travel to Cumming for stuff. If you're in Alpharetta, it's more the other way around. If you're in Cumming, you go down to Alpharetta for stuff. But it's far enough to be annoying. I put here it's too clean. I don't know. It's so clean, it doesn't have a whole lot of character to me. And it's becoming the new Buckhead. And, I don't know. It's just, those are my cons. But the pros, and this is why I bumped it to number 3, because the pros, Alpharetta really is amazing. The Avalon's fantastic. Downtown's great. Some people I know are a little upset. They say that it's lost its charm. But, you got a lot of charm around North Atlanta. There's a lot of places with a lot of charm. Alpharetta still has some of it, but I think it's cool to have places like the Avalon and what they're doing to downtown Alpharetta. It really is. It's very high-end. It's becoming very nice. The food is fantastic in Alpharetta. They have done a lot to make a lot of really good food there. And yeah, but becoming the new Buckhead is both a pro and a con for me because the pro of it is that it's just nice. You know what I mean? It's if you want to go out, have a really nice night out at a nice restaurant, stay at a nice hotel. The homes are spectacular. I mean, the equestrian, especially on the Milton side of Alpharetta, you've got all the horse farms and beautiful large homes on those big kind of rolling hills and those open lots. They're fantastic. Alpharetta is a gorgeous place. So Alpharetta is number 3 for me. Number 2 on my top 5 Atlanta suburbs is Smyrna. I had the absolute pleasure of living in Smyrna. I've lived in almost all of these places, by the way. Actually, no, I've lived in every single one of these places except for Marietta. Sorry. So Smyrna is a wonderful place. And it used to not be, but it has become an absolutely fantastic place to live. So here are my pros to Smyrna. It's close to everything. It is close to everything. So I live in Woodstock now, and I work a lot in Alpharetta. But when I lived in Smyrna, it took me 30 minutes to get to Alpharetta. Can you believe that? 30 minutes. It was nothing. Now, I was close to the highway, granted. I was right by 285. But it took no time to get there. Now, coming from Woodstock, it's like an hour, especially in the mornings. It is an hour to get to Alpharetta from Woodstock. I was close to, I was 15 minutes from Midtown. I was about 20 minutes from like Old Fourth Ward and, the Ponce City Market, the Beltline, all that good stuff. Getting to everything was so easy. And you had Vinings right inside the perimeter. I didn't include Vinings because I was like, ITP, cool, whatever. But if you're in Smyrna, you get to enjoy Vinings. Vinings is a wonderful place, very quaint, awesome stuff. The food's fantastic. And you're close to so much. You can pretty much lump in the food of Vinings, Cumberland, Buckhead, Atlanta. It's all so close. You can pretty much say, yeah, Smyrna's great food because you can just shoot over there in 15 minutes. It's great. It's amazing. So it's close to everything. Food's fantastic. You have the Battery. You can go to a Braves game. The energy in Smyrna during the World Series had to be just second to none. I've talked to people who lived there during that time. They said that you couldn't even imagine. The Chattahoochee runs right through it. Pretty good. I'm talking to like Smyrna webs out a bit to the northwest, but southeast you got you've got the Chattahoochee running right through Vinings and Cumberland right there, so you can access that stuff. But there are great parks, great trails, great hiking, all sorts of stuff to do around there. So a lot of activities, and you're close to the city without feeling immersed in it. So Smyrna's got it going on, man. So the cons, though, here's the cons. It is congested. It is getting a little congested. Depending on where you're at in Smyrna, you can feel it feels kind of tight, especially around the Battery area. But if you're away from it, not so much. But yeah, it can feel congested. The secret's out for sure. A few years ago, Smyrna was like, it was like you were onto something. You were getting into something really exciting, really early. Like the housing prices were night and day different just 3 years ago in Smyrna than it is now. So, and my other con was it's getting expensive. So the secret's out. It's getting expensive, getting a little congested. But Smyrna's an awesome, fun place to live. My number one suburb of Atlanta is Roswell, Georgia. Yes, it is. Yes, indeed. Roswell's my favorite of all the suburbs. I think it's the best one, and there's a number of reasons. One, my first and foremost thing with it is by far the most pretty suburb. It's gorgeous. Downtown Roswell is drop-dead gorgeous. If you walk down Canton Street, the trees overhanging, all the old buildings, it's aged so well. Like a lot of places like, I don't know, like Woodstock being a great example. Like in 50 years, a lot of those trees are going to grow up and be really just elegantly hanging over. But Roswell's been doing that for so long, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, Canton Street, and then if you keep going, you go up by the Roswell Mill. The food there is fantastic. I mean, truly, there are some amazing places to eat down there. And for some reason, I don't know if it gets talked about that much. There's pretty much every restaurant on that main strip of downtown Roswell is fantastic. It's amazing. It's really, really good. The homes are gorgeous. It's just close enough to stuff to not be a drag. So you're not far from Sandy Springs. You can, in about 25 minutes, you can shoot down to Buckhead and be with some other, great food and stuff to do down there. A lot of stuff to do. You got the river, you got trails, you got waterfalls, you got the Roswell Mill, you got the Chattahoochee River. The trails that kind of hug the Chattahoochee River are just stunning. The way that they weave through kind of I can't remember the name of the park. There's a lot of parks that are right on the river there. But Roswell's gorgeous. Food's great. It's close to stuff, especially if you're in Roswell proper. Some of the cons are it is expensive. Roswell's expensive, especially the good parts of Roswell. If you're close to downtown, and there's also some nasty parts of Roswell. That's another con. Some spots of Roswell, it's a flip of a coin. One side it's great, and you just take 2 steps over in this direction, and then it's kind of gross. And it webs out down Holcomb Bridge. I'm not a huge fan of some of that, but some of that area is good too. When it's going down Holcomb Bridge, over to Martin's Landing and some of that area, I don't know. Roswell's fantastic. I think objectively, if I really kind of looked around at all the things we have to offer, I go, yeah, that's probably on paper, based on how I'm grading these things, I think it's the best. So anyways, that's my top 5 Friday for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that segment and disagreed and agreed or whatever. Maybe it's just a good thought experiment for you. So to wrap the show up, as always, we're going to circle back around to our trivia question. So if you remember correctly, the show opened up with this trivia question. Who was the University of Georgia's football coach before Mark Richt? Before Mark Richt, who was the UGA football coach? And the answer is Jim Donnan. He was the coach from 1996 to 2000, and I've got some good facts about Mr. Donnan here. So he was here for 4 years, and he actually did a really good job. It was a little controversial when we let him go. So, oh crap, there it is. Okay, Jim Donnan. was the football coach of the University of Georgia from 1996 to 2000. He compiled a 40-19 record during his tenure. That's really good. He was the first football coach in school history to lead Bulldog teams to 4 consecutive bowl victories. Under Donnan, the Bulldogs won the 1998 Outback Bowl, the 1998 Peach Bowl, the 2000 Outback Bowl, and the 2000 Oahu Bowl. Before the 97 game against Mississippi State, this is a great story, Donnan drove a steamroller into practice and told his players they were either going to be the steamroller or the pavement. Georgia won the game 47-0. That's so cool. I love stories like that. Donnan was fired by University President Michael Adams against the wishes of athletic director Vince Dooley in 2000 after the Bulldogs struggled to 2 consecutive 8-win seasons and 3 consecutive losses against Georgia Tech. Yeah, can't do that, Donnan. Can't lose 3 in a row to Georgia Tech. That's not a good way to keep your job. Sorry, is what it is. But fun fact for you. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed this show. As always, thank you. Go out and make someone's day today. I know it's probably a Saturday when you're listening to this. Contribute to the family. Do something around the house. Have fun with your kids. Make some memories. Go play catch. Go out and throw the football. Get excited about football. It's time to start playing football. So what better way to do, to make a difference in the world than to have a memorable game of catch with the kids. But go out and make someone's day. It's very easy to do. Doesn't take much. So thank you for listening. Please email us at talkingallgas@gmail.com. Once again, it's talkingallgas@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, we're on it. Thank you. Have an amazing weekend. Love you guys. See ya.